Oh, hi everyone. Shabbat Shalom. So glad that you can join me again. Again, to start off Shabbat, we're going to put away the news and whatever outside things we have going on. And for me, at least, to get into the Shabbat mode, I like to wear one of my many kippot. That is a plural of kippa. I'm going to wear this one today because it has the skyline of Jerusalem. And I recently heard some news about how Israel is dealing with the quarantine. So, Israel is on my mind. All right. So, got our study Bible. And before we begin, let me just pull up this prayer. So, we're going to say the prayer to over Torah Study. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to engage with words of Torah. Okay, so this week's Torah portion is called Vayikra, which you may recognize that word because it is the same. It is a Hebrew word for Leviticus, which is one of the books of Torah. And in the tradition, the very first portion of any new book in the Torah is the same name as the book. All right, so I'm going to read a couple different excerpts here. There it is. All right. If the person's offering for a burnt offering is from the flock of sheep or of goats, they will make a burnt offering with a lamb that doesn't have a blemish. Then, when a person presents an offering of birds, they will offer from their turtle doves. Then, when a person presents an offering of meal to the Lord, meal meaning like grain, they shall make an offering of their best flour. They shall pour oil upon it and lay frankincense on it. Then, when you present an offering of meal baked in the oven, it will be of your best flour, unleavened cakes with oil mixed in, or unleavened wafers spread with oil. If your offering is meal offering on a griddle, it shall be of your best flour with oil mixed in. If your offering is a meal offering in a pan, it shall be made of your best flour and oil. All right. So, what's all that mean? It's talking about sacrifices, which the Hebrews, were commanded to do in the desert by the Torah. And it is giving a bunch of different options. It's saying that if you want to sacrifice to God, do what you can. So if you have cattle, if you have like a goat or something, or a cow, then you can sacrifice that. But those are really expensive. And not everyone back then had that. So some people only had birds. In that case, you would sacrifice one of those. But some people didn't have cows, and some people didn't have birds. So they said, okay, if you don't have either of those, then you could sacrifice some grain. Because pretty much everyone could find some grain going around. But then they were saying, okay, well, if you only have a pan to cook stuff in, then use that. But if you have an oven, then use that. And so the idea is that anyone can give the sacrifices to God. It's just a matter of making sure that all the options are available. They don't want it to be that only cows are the right sacrifices for God, in which case people who don't own cows are going to say, oh no, I can't sacrifice to God. Because sacrificing nowadays, I know it seems very weird. It's very different than what we do, because we do prayer. Lots of people pray to feel close to God, or to feel close to the Torah, or to feel close to the Jews around them. And that's why the Hebrews gave sacrifices to God, when that's what we used to do, was to feel close to God or feel close to the community. And so feeling that closeness is something that should be available to everyone. So the Torah is very careful to provide lots of different options so that it's essentially affordable for everyone. It's kind of like, maybe you've heard, you're supposed to give 10% of your income to the needy, to the less fortunate. That's the principle of tzedakah, is that you should give 10% of what you have. So it doesn't matter how much money you're making. If you make only $100 a week, you can probably spare 10. If you make $1,000 a week, you can spare 100. So the poor are able to get the support that they need, and the people who are making the money, if you're making $1,000 a week, you can probably spend 100 of that on other people to support their lives. But if you're only making $100 a week, obviously you can't give $100 to the poor. That's all of your money. But you can maybe give them $10, and sure, maybe you get to go to McDonald's or something like that less often, but that $10 will help the needy people, pay for rent, pay for the food that they need, maybe pay for childcare. And so the idea is very much the same, that Judaism should be accessible to everyone, regardless of their income. And it's kind of neat that it sort of comes very much from the Torah, which is a very different world than we have, because we have a world of obviously now it's very different. But like there's jobs and there's income tax and there's all that kind of stuff. And back then, people sort of lived in their farms. Some people were merchants, but it was a very different lifestyle. But still, the principles can be applied to today. So I want to take this time to talk a little bit about just making reasonable sacrifices in this quarantine. Everyone has to make some kind of sacrifice from what they usually do. I like to be out and be among people. I wish I was able to do this in person with you, but I also like going to seeing my friends. I like hanging out with my family. I like going to the mall and just being there, even if I'm not there with anyone. I just enjoy being around people. And that's something that I'm obviously not supposed to do anymore, and I don't want to do that, because if I were to do it, it would be unsafe for myself and for other people. So let's take a minute and try to think, what are some sacrifices that we can make in our lives, but that are reasonable, keeping in mind what the Torah said, which was, sacrifice a cow if you have that kind of thing. But if you don't, go for a bird. If you don't have that, sacrifice some wheat. Making sure that our sacrifices don't make our life so difficult that the sacrifice becomes burdensome. We want to sacrifice what we have extra, not what we can't afford to not have. So, with that question in mind, I'm again going to play Debbie Friedman's Misha Berach, which is a prayer for healing. So you can use this time to think about that question. Maybe there are some people who you know who are sick or who are lonely. Maybe you know someone who, God forbid, has coronavirus or thinks that they might and is testing for it. So just all the things that might be going around in your head. Just take about 2 minutes to think about that. And again, this is kind of a practice of sacrifice. We do a lot of things during our day, and we don't usually just sit and listen and think. So we'll do about 2 minutes of that.
To
So that's it. If you guys have any questions, if you want to talk to me more either about what's going on or about the Torah portion or about anything else on your mind that is Jewish life related, then feel free to email me at the Jewish Life email address. And other than that, we'll keep sending more stuff out to you guys, and I'll see you here next week. Okay, Shabbat Shalom. Take care.